Traveling to the Arctic isn't for the faint of heart, and with legends of zombies, ghost stories, and very real sea spiders, I'm almost too afraid to tell today's tales. There was a small party of Inuit folks camped at the southern end of King William Island around the year 1850, and they could count themselves as one of the most isolated groups of people on Earth. They had never met white people, they had barely encountered other groups, so it was a uniquely terrifying experience for them to hear the sound of footsteps outside their igloo and find themselves facing a crowd of lurching figures with vacant eyes, blue skin, unable to talk, and barely alive. These were the last remnants of the ill-fated Franklin expedition, the 1845 British voyage of Arctic exploration that ended with the passing of everyone aboard. As ragged bands of expedition survivors split up and trudged south in a desperate bid to flee the Arctic on foot, folks throughout the region that lived there faced a real-life invasion of the walking unalive. They saw men raving wildly, they saw camps strewn with crazy corpses, and they saw Europeans begin to consume those who had already passed. Okay, if you're an arachnophobe, close your eyes for a moment, folks. Sea spiders have over 1,300 known species, and they have legs ranging from 1 millimeter in length to over 70 centimeters. That's over 2 feet. They tend to walk along the bottom of the ocean with their stilt-like legs, or swim just above it, using an umbrella pulsing motion. They're predators with scavenging tendencies, and those really long legs I mentioned a moment ago are everything to them, since that's where they keep all their vital organs, because they don't have much of a body. They've also got this long nose situation. That's how they suck the insides out of worms, jellyfish, sponges, and other soft body prey. Though the specific hot springs that we're about to talk about are just shy of technically being above the Arctic Circle, part of the lands first claimed by Franklin Leach in 1906 would reach northerly enough to qualify, after having been inhabited by the Athabascan people, and would eventually become a ghost town as the gold ran dry. A resort would open far later in history, and in the 90s particularly, the owners of the establishment would report a slew of poltergeist activity. Objects would fly across the room, footsteps would be heard when no guests were present, and the translucent, gossamer-like visage of a woman would often be seen. She's believed to be the spirit of the wife of the owner. Cargo ship Octavius met its demise in 1761 after leaving China and setting sail for Britain via the Northwest Passage. At that time, no ship had ever successfully navigated that passage, and the ship disappeared. A whaling ship discovered the damaged remains of the ship in October of 1775 and boarded it to look for survivors and cargo. When the men ventured into the below-deck quarters, they found the ship's captain frozen at his desk, partway through filling out the ship's log, and the rest of the crew were similarly encased in ice throughout their rooms. The whalers snatched up the ship log and fled, leaving behind everything, including the first and last entries, which were stuck to the captain's frozen desk. This log revealed that the Arctic temperatures and ice captured the Octavius about 250 miles from Barrow, where all those aboard perished on November 11th of 1762. So there are folks in Inuit culture who speak of 8 physical worlds that exist on the edge of their own reality, and this tale hails from an unnamed elder who mistakenly fell into one of these alternate planes for 3 days. So there was one day she was playing outside, and suddenly the world began to shift and change around her. It looked different. There was a strange dreamlike feeling. And after spending what she thought were 20 to 30 minutes examining and exploring this world, she decided to clamp her teeth in her hand and wake herself up. She bit down so hard that redness poured out, creating a scar that it lasted for her entire life, and then the world as she knew slowly shifted back into focus. Upon finding her father searching for her, she found out that half an hour was, 3 days in our world. Though many Soviet accomplishments were once shrouded in cold secrecy, it was a known fact that the nation succeeded in digging the world's deepest man-made hole on the Kola Peninsula, a project that went on from 1970 to 1994. The hole itself was able to breach over 40,000 feet into the Earth's crust. Although such feat came with a plethora of rumors, it's widely accepted that the project was abandoned due to a lack of funding. But some folks have speculated that the drill had breached into an extremely hot cavern, and the microphone that they sent down picked up alleged screams of the damned, driving scientists to madness. A lot of folks allege that the scientists had dug all the way to hell itself. Okay, yeah, that's technically an urban legend, but imagine those screams. Ever hear of the Phantom Trapper? a specter cursed to drive a team of 14 pure white huskies across the barren landscapes of winter for all eternity? Well, this ghost haunts the snowy fields of Labrador, and he goes simply by the name of Smoker to those who tell his tale. Sticking it out in the frigid north, this man, whose real name was possibly Esau, started off his entrepreneurship as a trapper. But it wasn't super successful, so he turned to brewing moonshine instead. And that got him into trouble with Mounties pretty often. So he doubled down. He fastened a suit of all-white furs, adopted an all-white husky dog sledding team to blend in with the snow, and managed to get away with things. He had some success, but then there was one day where a fall, glug-glugged, prompted him to break his back in the snowy north, and, well, backbreaking, you know how that goes. It is claimed that the man cried out to God before passing, begging to become a ghost out of fear that he'd be sent down there. Well, legend tells that even today, the howl of the wind is sometimes joined by the sound of a dog team running throughout the night. Occasionally, a person might catch a glimpse of an all-white dog team being driven by a figure in white furs, but they never leave tracks in the snow or stop on their eternal run. With a population of over 70,000 people as of 2022, the Norwegian city of Tromsø is the third most populated area above the Arctic Circle. Though it is far from the oldest town in Scandinavia, this place was officially founded in 1838, which leaves more than enough wiggle room for those trying to find a deep enough history to find ghost stories. Tales are often told of sea trolls and wraith-like wights prowling the beaches on the oceans, searching for victims in the night, and ghosts have been witnessed haunting each and every building downtown. Maybe, and I'm just spitballing here, it might be because the city center was built on an ancient graveyard. From 1947 to 1953, prisoners of the Soviet Union were forced into the awful task of building more than 800 miles of railway track in the frigid north of Siberia. Only around half the track would succeed in being built, the project grinding to a halt after the passing of a very particular world leader in 1953. But the railway project wouldn't end before leading to the passings of over 300,000 people. In time, the incomplete railway would achieve another name: a certain railway of end of life. Many of the abandoned, dilapidated structures still stand to this day, and some urban explorers claim to hear the tormented, ethereal screams, sounds of labor, and other ghostly activity amongst the ruins. Sedna is the goddess of the sea and marine animals in Inuit mythology. She's known as the mother of the sea, mistress of the sea, and her myths describe how she came to rule over the underworld. So in the main legend that we know of, she is a giant. She's the daughter of the creator god Anguta, with a great hunger that causes her to attack her parents. She's dissatisfied with the men found for her by her father, decides to marry a dog, and her father is so angry at this that he throws her into the sea, and when she tries to climb back into the boat, he gets rid of her fingers. They become the first seals, and that's how she became a mighty sea goddess. Now, other versions of the legend depict her as a beautiful maiden who rejects marriage proposals from hunters. Her father gives her a sleeping potion, gives her to a hunter who takes her to a large nest on a cliff and reveals his true form: a giant bird spirit. Her father tries to rescue her when he realizes the truth, but the bird spirit becomes angry, causing a great storm, and her father panics, throws her into the sea. And once again, attempting to cling to the kayak, her hands freeze and her fingers fall off, once again becoming the creatures of the sea. She falls to the bottom, grows a fishtail. In one particular tradition, she was already in the kayak when a storm started. Her family was like, "We're blaming you." Once again, she goes into the sea. This time, her father gets rid of her fingers in pieces, bit by bit by bit. And she does have control over the sea creatures that come from her. Between all the versions, we can see how the origins of how seals, walruses, and whales came to be. If humans anger this goddess, she stops the animals from coming to their hunting sites, thus causing famine. She is generally considered a vengeful goddess. Hunters must pray to her to release the sea animals from the ocean depths for their hunt. Folks have thrown various different things into the sea as offerings over the years. And, good luck. Well, that's all for today, folks. I've been Alexa, your resident ooky spooky girly. See ya!